Welcome everyone to today's Music News Power Hour headlines of the day. We're going to be beginning our show and our broadcast here shortly. Make sure that you use the plus sign at the bottom of the room to ping your friends into the room so that they can join the discussion. And make sure that you join the discussion as well as we read our headlines by using the hand raise icon to join the talk or chiming in the chat. We're going to be covering all the breaking music news headlines that are fit to listen to and discuss here shortly. But I want to say hello to Angela Randall, our UK correspondent. Hi, Angela. How are you?
Hi, Eli. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Hump Day, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for joining us right here at the Music News Power Hour from the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. Make sure to tap the house icon at the top of the room to join the club, follow your moderators, and visit our website where you can register for free, follow along with our headlines as we read them, or you can follow us, you can join us on the video stream. You can see what we're doing behind the scenes by visiting our website also. Our website is musicindustrycity.com. Let's begin our countdown.
It is Wednesday, the 30th of June, and this is the Music News Power on the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. I'm Peter Schwing. Please join me in welcoming my co-hosts Eli Window and UK correspondent Angela Randall.
Hi, Peter. Happy Wednesday.
Hello, hello.
Right on. And in today's news, BMG tells signatories, we're on your side. Dance music market has lost half its revenue. Underground sound reinvents music streaming. Brexit Minister Lord Frost says visa-free touring for artists deprives us of control over immigration. YouTube launches hashtag landing pages to all users. And as always, our daily Spotify update. Those stories coming right up. But first, let's take a look at this day in music history with Eli Window. Eli.
All right. On this day in music history, June 30th, 2001, we lost American guitarist and producer Chet Atkins, who died in Nashville aged 77. Recorded over 100 albums during his career, produced records for Perry Como, Elvis Presley, Don Gibson, Jim Reeves, and Waylon Jennings. In memory, Chet Atkins. Moving on, birthdays today. Born on this date, 1943, American vocalist Florence Ballard from the Supremes. Excellent. And born this date, 1949, Andy Scott, guitarist with English group Sweet. Born June 30th, 1956, Adrian Wright with the Human League. Born June 30th, 1963, Yngwie Malmsteen, Swedish guitarist. And born on this date, 1968, Philip Anselmo from American heavy metal band Pantera. And happy birthday today, born this date, 1985, American hip hop and R&B singer T-Pain, Fahim Najib. Moving on. On this day in history, June 30th, 1975, Cher married Greg Allman 4 days after her divorce from Sonny Bono. The couple split after 10 days, followed by a 3-year on and off marriage. Cher married Greg Allman on this date, 1975. On this date, 1976, police raided the home of Neil Diamond searching for drugs. They found less than 1 ounce of marijuana. On this date, 1976, Stuart Goddard, who is also known as Adam Ant, placed the following ad in the classified section of the Melody Maker, quote, beat on a bass with the B-sides. Andy Warren answered the ad, and the pair went on to form Adam and the Ants. On this date, 1977, Marvel Comics launched a comic book based on the rock group Kiss. Blood from each band member was drawn by a registered nurse, witnessed by a notary public, and was poured into the vats of red ink used for printing this comic book. On June 30th in the year 2008, men were trampled to death during Pearl Jam's performance at the Roskilde Festival near Copenhagen. Police said the victims had all slipped or fallen in the mud at the front of the stage, unfortunately. On this date, 2019, Taylor Swift's former label, Big Machine, was sold to Scooter Braun's company for an estimated $300 million US, giving him control of her back catalog, including the master recordings. In response, Taylor Swift accused Braun of bullying her and said she would re-record all her old albums to devalue this purchase. And that's it for On This Day in Music History. Over to you, Peter.
Right on. Thanks for that. You know, it's when you read the Taylor Swift one, that was 2 years ago. It does not feel like 2 years ago. I mean, the whole pandemic has created an illusion of time. I can't believe it's 2 years, and she's already re-released one of the albums, and she's working on the next one.
And she's made other headlines with her catalogs as well. So it is definitely not the year that time forgot, although some of us have forgotten the last year or so.
Yeah. Many of us would like to forget the last year. And with that being said, this is where we summarize the most essential news in the fast-paced music industry. I'd also like to thank everyone else who is viewing the show on our video live stream. And to set the stage for a roundtable discussion, we begin by reading key sections of media pieces. If you'd like to provide commentary on one of today's topics, raise your hand to join the stage during the reading. To stay up to date on this and other programming, along with our daily brief podcast, you can register for free at musicindustrycity.com to obtain access to exclusive content. And remember to follow all our co-hosts and commentators as they take the stage. Now let's get to it. All right, and this first piece is from musicbusinessworldwide.com. To access all the articles mentioned in today's show and throughout the week, visit musicindustrycity.com and click on the show notes graphic. All right, Tuned Global inks deal with Silicon Valley and Hong Kong-based social media app Leica to power its new music streaming feature. Tuned Global, a B2B music streaming technology firm, has inked an agreement with social networking app Leica to supply the technology for an integrating of immersive music streaming service within its app. Leica is a social networking platform that incorporates gift giving and receiving capabilities, encrypted chat, and e-commerce capability. It was founded in 2019 and has offices in Silicon Valley and Hong Kong. Leica's original activities were concentrated in Southeast Asia, where it currently has 6 million subscribers. Tuned Global said it would also supply the native front-end code from its iOS and Android apps to help speed up the integration of their app's new Leica Music area. As an incentive for content production and participation, Leica users receive gems, which are gift cards in electronic mode. Users will be able to pay for Leica's streaming service music subscriptions using gems, which they can also redeem at more than 16,000 partner shops in the region, including Ford, Bose, and Tony and Guy. Let's kick over to complete music update. This one is the BMG boss tells signatories of hashtag fixstreaming letter, quote, "We are on your side." BMG CEO wrote to artists and songwriters who work with the firm and signed a recent letter organized by the hashtag fixstreaming and hashtag broken record movements in the UK saying, quote, "I want you to know that we are on your side." Hartwig Masuch says the firm supports, quote, "a dramatic reslicing of the streaming pie in favor of artists and composers, but does not explicitly embrace the request stated in the letter." The letter was submitted to UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson in April and was redelivered earlier this month with new signatures. More than 230 musicians, including the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, Chris Martin, Paloma Faith, Brian Eno, Kate Bush, and a lot more, signed the most current edition. BMG also informed Parliament that it was in favor of reselling the digital pie to benefit songwriters. These viewpoints are outlined in Masuch's letter to the signatories of the hashtag fixstreaming and hashtag broken records, where he says, in summary, we propose a drastic reselling of the streaming pie in favor of artists and composers in order to account for the new streaming market realities. All right, we're going to go over to Variety, and this one is the dance music market has lost half its revenue in 2020, says a new study. The International Dance Music Summit's annual business report is now available. This year's edition focuses on the pandemic's global influence on electronic dance music in 2020 and overall revenues from the industry's four main areas: software and hardware sales, music sales and streaming, DJ and artist earnings, and clubs and festivals totaled $3.4 billion. This is less than half of the $7.3 billion in earnings in 2019 and lower than the industry in 2012. The largest losses, as predicted, were in clubs and festivals, where profits fell by 78%, accounting for the majority of the difference. Earnings for DJs and artists were down 68%, and in contrast, with all of the time spent at home, music and streaming sales increased by 4% or $48 million, while software and hardware sales increased by 23% for a record high of $203 million. Metrics increased across all social media platforms, but fans of electronic dance music placed sixth out of 8 music genres covered in the research. The research examined ticketed electronic dance music live streams and consolidated the findings into 3 pillars for making the practice one that monetizes the artist's community: enroll, engage, and excite. Ongoing comparisons between electronic dance music and hip hop on a worldwide scale are included in the study, which states the EDM wave gave way to the hip hop wave, which is currently reaching a plateau. Electronic music should brace itself for its upcoming limelight moment. I think electronic music has had its limelight moment, and I'm not just talking about the old dance club in New York City. One of the things here that stuck out was saying that in the genres, they were 6 out of 8. And I wonder if that's because with dance music, it's more equated to we're going out. We're going out to a festival, we're going out to a club, we're going out to a warehouse, a rave, and people will be playing more music, and you'll be like, hey, there's a new mix by this DJ, and you play a mix, you play music to pump yourself up. You're going to the club, you're getting ready to go to the club, you pump it up, you get out in the car, you're playing it, and then you get out. So I wonder if that maybe is one of the reasons why it was down so low in the categories.
I think that's definitely a valid point, and it is such a social and outgoing genre of music to enjoy that I really wonder how much validity that point has, Peter, and how much that applies. I'm curious. I'm curious to know if anyone else has comments here.
Well, I see
Clarence,
Clarence.
hi. Yeah, Clarence, welcome to the stage. Thanks for joining us.
Hey there, how's it going? I just came in. You were talking about dance music, and I saw the title, and I said I'm just gonna run in here for a second. What were you comparing dance music to? Like, what was there a chart that just came out?
There was the International Dance Music Summit's annual business report, and this is over in Variety.com, and they were talking about the numbers, and they were saying that the electronic dance music wave is already passed. Right now, it's the hip hop wave, and now, but it's set to come back. And they were saying that out of the genres, dance music was 6th in out of 8 in categories.
Boy, that's all how you look at it. That's really how you want to stack something up, I guess. But it's inches for whoever wrote the article, you know. But you could stack it up a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, I think, but they're going with the metrics and the data from the streaming services and distributors. So that's how they were. It wasn't more of an opinion; it was more based on the statistics.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because if you stack them both together, they're different sized marketplaces, I think. At least from a record label standpoint. As a former, record executive for who's dealt with both genres and a lot of hip hop and some dance music, to compare them is almost like comparing a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, or a Ferrari and a Porsche.
So we're
But
talking about comparing all sorts of delicious things to all sorts of other delicious things. And Clarence,
yes,
I love that. I love that.
yes,
But I wanted to
yes.
let you know, Clarence, as well, that all of the headlines that we're covering in today's broadcast are also on our website at musicindustrycity.com. And there is more information about this headline there. So if you'd like to follow along on our website, or if anyone in the audience would like to read more about this topic, you can visit our website, musicindustrycity.com, and check out this headline and more, including the one that Peter is taking us into now. Peter, over to you.
Right on. Thanks for that. Yes, you can go to musicindustrycity.com and click on the show notes graphic, and that will take you to all the headlines and the articles and links that we cover today and throughout the week, plus also links to our podcast with the daily brief and our playlists and a whole bunch of other stuff at musicindustrycity.com. And this one is from Platform Stream, and this is Tixi announces partnership with Veeps and Mandolin. Predictive concert suggestion program launched by Tixi does not collect data from users or compel them to create room for yet another app. Instead, customers sign up for free with their Spotify or Apple Music accounts so that Tixi may send them text messages when their favorite musicians appear nearby. Tixi, founded by software entrepreneur and former Hawthorne Heights drummer Aaron Bucciarelli, makes it simple for showgoers to stay in the loop about new gigs as soon as they're announced, while sending text messages rather than push notifications, which boosts the probability that they'll read the updates. He goes on to say SMS marketing is nearly 10 times more successful than alerts. Tixi can now notify users about a range of forthcoming virtual events thanks to new partners Veeps and Mandolin. And Veeps provides a simplified platform for organizing ticketed live streams with hundreds of new and renowned artists from Young M.A. to Idris to Rufus Wainwright and Nora Jones, performing from living rooms, studios, and large venues across the country. Angela, I think this was something of interest to you. You've been following along with Veeps a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think Eli and I were both sort of following along with this one with some interest because if anybody isn't already familiar with Veeps, it's the platform that allows streaming from venues, and I think there was a lot of discussion about you know what they're going to be doing with regard to live events returning, and I think the development that Tixi sort of brings to it. It keeps them up to date, not unlike the way Jambase used to do back in the day. So now they're getting a little bit more steam behind their platform going forward, so that people are being notified about these events, and then being able to get tickets for them for the live streams, even if they're not in the area. I mean, sometimes there is a gap in the market between if you don't live nearby an event to not know that it's actually happening. But now with this opportunity, it makes it a sort of way for everybody to keep in the loop, know when the live streams are going up for sale, and be able to tune in even if they're thousands of miles away. So it sounds pretty dope to me.
I like the idea. All right, let's keep on talking about some more apps and more streaming. This one is Underground Sound reinvents music streaming with new iOS app. And it starts off by saying there's an issue in the music industry. And I'm like, really? Where do we start? Well, this one's going to start is, as a digital streaming services continue to dominate the music industry, it is becoming increasingly difficult for independent musicians to gain attention and make their impact on the globe. It's hardly surprising that with 60,000 new music added to Spotify every day, it's easy to get lost in the crowd. This is where Underground Sound enters the picture. The company's main purpose, founded by Jake Cavalier and Zachary Spar, is to build a platform that better aids artists in obtaining organic exposure. Along with free streaming and unrestricted uploading, musicians may receive feedback on their music from fellow artists and fans via the UGS app. The product is a result of a nearly decade-long battle as Cavalier struggled to find his place as a musician in an oversaturated business. The team genuinely understands the struggle of the everyday artist, as seen by their motto, "For artists, by artists." Underground Sound distinguishes itself from other music streaming services by repurposing the greatest aspects of those applications to benefit the artist rather than the corporation. Unlike Spotify and Apple Music, Underground Sound allows users to post, distribute, and sell their work all on the same platform. The app is designed particularly for discovering new music, making it the ideal tool for emerging musicians looking to legitimately expand their network and create a sustainable career. After its June 25th debut in the App Store, Underground Sound has spawned a community of thousands that is continuously increasing. So, it's a very cluttered field and getting more so. I mean, the one I think I can equate this to would be Loom. Has anybody used Loom, the LUM platform? And that seems more like a social platform for musicians and has some similar characteristics. I mean, it's a music streaming platform, so there are going to be some, all the platforms have some characteristics that are overlapping. But has anybody used Loom for discovering or as a musician? I wonder how they're experiencing this area of like saying this is for independent musicians, and we've seen this a lot. I mean, we want to support the independent musicians, and there's many platforms that out there that have always said we're here to support the independent musicians, and a lot of those platforms end up only lasting a few years, unfortunately. So these are the challenges when you're not not appealing to the mass market as a business model. I mean, Bandcamp is one that has survived and it does amazing stuff. I mean, I'm a huge fan of everything that Bandcamp does, Bandcamp Fridays, and what their platform is all about. And I think they just found a great market. I know Bands in Town was another one for the live sector, but on streaming, I mean, is this going to be an added challenge that is just going to be really tough to deal with being more selective of the music and market?
Yeah, I haven't actually used Loom primarily because, and this speaks to your point, Peter, because I can't download it in the UK. It's not on the App Store. I can't use an online version. It seems to be US based, or at least not based in the UK. So, if they plan on reaching a global audience and giving that sort of reach to independent artists, it would be helpful if they made it possible to use outside of the US.
Yeah, and that all comes down to licensing and everything that is going on with that. And yeah, so just another one, just to have to follow along and see how it goes. With that being said, let's check in with Eli.
All right, let's check in with me and let's have all of us check in with our friends. You can bring your friends into the room by using the plus sign at the bottom of the room to ping your friends, especially if you think they might have interesting commentary or questions about our headlines today. You can also raise your hand if you'd like to join the discussion or chime in the chat if you're joining us on the video stream. Make sure that you visit our site where you can follow along with these and all of the headlines that we cover each and every day right here in the Music News Power Hour. And don't forget, we are here from 12 to 1 Eastern each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, with all the music related news that you care to listen to and discuss. You can tap the greenhouse icon at the top of the room to join the club and get updates. You can also follow the moderators. These are the speakers on the stage with the green moderator icon, and you'll be notified when your moderators speak in the Music News Power Hour. You can also visit Music Industry City anytime for updates on and off of Clubhouse and for more content that you can use to help further your career in the music industry. Visit our website to register for free, to follow along on our live video stream, or to read along at home with our headlines. Our website is musicindustrycity.com. And thanks for joining us. Now let's take a look at our next headline. Visa-free touring for artists actually deprives us of control over immigration, says Brexit minister. With more on this headline, let's go to our UK correspondent, Angela Randall. Angela?
Thanks for that, Eli. This is quite a lengthy one, so stay with me. I've done my best to truncate it a bit, but there's a lot to cover. If you want to read more, of course, you can always check the show notes as Peter and Eli have explained at the beginning of the show. DCMS committee and Brexit Minister Lord Frost was quoted as saying, quote, "It's my role to make sure this issue is properly coordinated with all of other businesses within the EU," said Lord Frost. "It's the responsibility of the DCMS to take this forward with our embassies, and the engagement on this question has been done by officials from DCMS. Cabinet Office Minister Lord Frost negotiated the UK's EU trade deal at the end of 2020, which it soon emerged didn't provide any provision for visa-free touring, which prompted a huge row and a blame game with the EU, which returned to which he returned to during the hearing. Quote, "We did put forward proposals which would have a very much solved the problem we now face," he told MPS. "Sadly, the EU wouldn't accept that. That's just the reality of the way these negotiations went." However, Lord Frost and ministers who've previously given evidence admitted that there were concerns about a visa waiver proposal by the EU for ad hoc performances. In response to a question from Brennan, Lord Frost said, "Free movement was an issue in the referendum, and it was very clear that free movement ends with our exit from the EU. This government fought an election and won an election. We do not agree with permanent visa waivers because they deprive us of control over our immigration system. That's why we put these other proposals forward, but unfortunately they weren't acceptable. I get that not everyone may agree with the end of free movement and its consequences, but it was government's policy and that's what we're implementing." Artists have been campaigning for a solution, including a high-profile intervention from Sir Elton John, who met Lord Frost to make his case. However, the music legend has since described the government as Philistines over the EU's touring issue. Lord Frost, of course, hit back during his committee appearance by pointing out that Elton John's career predated the UK's alignment with the then European Economic Community in 1973. Our plan of action, as it has been set out, is to work with countries in prior that do not have particularly liberal rules on this subject and see if we can persuade them to improve them, he said. "If we could all get together behind achieving that, I think that would be good. I had a good conversation with Elton John. I thought it was helpful to hear directly from him. I can't help noticing that he had his first hits before the UK even became a member of the European Union, so I think there's probably more at play here than pure rules applying with the then European community. Talent is important, and that's why we support our talented creative industries," end quote. With ministers unable to revisit the trade deal for several years, the focus now is on smoothing the arrangements with each of the 27 EU states on touring for UK artists. The positive news is that DCMS has identified 17 EU members, including France and Germany, where the paperwork and rules are less complicated than feared. Discussions are ongoing with the other 10 countries, including Spain, with a meeting involving Trade Minister Greg Hands taking place today. There are at least 17 countries of the 27 where pretty normal or indeed entirely normal travel is possible for the purposes of carrying out performances in normal circumstances, said Lord Frost. "In practice, there would remain difficulties. I'm not denying that, but it's nevertheless the case that in big countries like France and Germany, it's possible to travel without visas or work permits." However, under questioning, Lord Frost conceded there were still limits on touring in those 17 countries compared to the period when the UK was an EU member. The other major issue for touring is the cost imposed for vehicles. This is an important part as well. And Lord Frost confirmed that the Department for Transport is working with the EU at every level rather than with individual members. In a surprise move, Lord Frost suggested the music industry could do more to help bring about solutions on visa and permit arrangements for touring artists with EU members. Cheek of it. "I think it would be extremely helpful, if I may say so, if the representative bodies of the industry, musicians and touring performers more generally, could support us in that, could use their networks and their relationships with similar bodies in other EU member states to encourage those governments to be less restrictive," he told MPs. "I think we would very much welcome that. I said to Elton John, in fact, I will say it to others, I'm sure DCMS are already orchestrating this, but I do want to point out on record that we need that sort of help and support. I'm convinced it will make a big difference to help improve this situation." It does go on a bit more about what's next to come, and I did want to mention the hashtag Let the Music Move campaign, which definitely instigated a lot of these talks proceeding in more quick measure. In short order, what's basically saying is the UK's £1 billion fishing industry has received £23 million to adjust to new red tape, and as it stands, our £6 billion world-beating music industry is being hung out to dry. It feels like a complete abdication of responsibility. It seems like a lot of passing the buck. They literally want the artists and musicians who have been out of work and struggling to figure out how they're going to A, cope with new rules, and B, deal with COVID, to use their audiences and use their platform to help put pressure on EU countries to enact something that the UK government decided all on their own to do. So more on this, of course, as it develops, but it does seem like it's slow going. For now, back to you, Peter.
My head hurts.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
sorry for that.
there's so many, and I'm just going to I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Just a couple comments. Did he say maybe the music industry could help figure this out?
Yes, I believe that's exactly what he's implying.
Now, when the music industry has come to him, he's brushed them aside, ignored them, hasn't shown up to meetings, And these Elton John comments, is that what the Brits call being cheeky?
Yeah, I actually slipped in a little color commentary in there by saying the cheek of it. Yeah, that is in fact he's saying that your best years are behind you, Elton, and it was before there was even your problem. So go home and retire, and enjoy your money, and have a nice life. In
Right.
essence,
But the thing
um,
was, he was comparing touring today to become successful to Elton John, saying that Elton John was successful before all this touring went in place in 1973. This is just an old, out of touch politician that thinks it's the same everything is the same as it was nearly 50 years ago.
100%. And just for those who are not familiar with what the real meat of the issue here is, before the free movement they're talking about is that when the EU was and the UK was still part of the EU, EU member states, anyone that lives there and works within any of those countries could easily travel and move throughout Europe and do these short performances and that sort of thing. But since Brexit, it means now that they have to get paperwork for each and every country that they go into. The EU isn't even willing to supply an EU visa where it allows them to have that same free movement as before, which is part of the rejected things he's talking about earlier in the article. Now, at the moment, the trucking issue is also the secondary part of it, whereas because of trade rules that are imposed on other industries, musicians that are meant to be touring around through the EU will have to only be able, I think it is, to make 3 stops outside of
Hmm.
the UK before they have to then send those trucks back and either hire new trucks to carry on their tour or go back themselves and go a different route the next time they go out. It's absolutely ludicrous, and it's going to do damage to not only the touring economies in the EU, but also to these trucking industries that sort of relied on these artists for long haul tours to carry them through even post COVID times. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Well,
definitely a big one to follow on.
yeah. Good luck with all that.
Thanks.
We are going to stay over in the UK just for one other brief article, and this is more of a a much better feel good piece. And this is the Music Venue Trust to host Venues Day 2021, an inaugural international event. The Music Venue Trust has announced that its annual conference and networking event, which was postponed due to the pandemic last year, now will be held in October. On Tuesday, October 5th, the organization will celebrate Venues Day 2021 at Earth in London. The challenges faced during the last 15 months have made it more important than ever for Music Venue Trust to provide the best support for the grassroots music community, the organization said in a statement. Venues Day will be a hybrid event this year in order to allow as many venues as possible to participate. Venues Day Online, a virtual activity day that will take place on October 12th, will guarantee that every venue in the country has access to best practice information, advice, and assistance as they emerge from lockdown. Across the world, organizations similar to Music Venue Trust have mobilized in the last 16 months to attempt to defend their venues, and international information exchange has been critical to the survival of the grassroots sector during its global crisis. MVT has also announced that Live DMA Europe, Music Policy Forum USA and Canada, Canadian Live Music Office Australia, and NEVA in the US have joined forces to produce the first worldwide event focused solely to grassroots music venue operators and owners. On October 19th, the inaugural Venues Day International will take place online with panels, presentations, and debate on common issues and possibilities from across the world. And as we're going to wrap up this segment here with just two more about on the international, and this one is Primavera Sound from Spain. It's heading to Los Angeles, and that is Primavera Sound coming to Los Angeles in 2022. The popular Barcelona, Spain event had intended to launch a Los Angeles equivalent in 2020, but the COVID-19 epidemic caused them to cancel last May. Following a brief flirtation with 2021, festival organizers have agreed on September 16th to the 18th in 2022. The good news is that the extra year comes with an extra day, as the 2-day festival is expanded to a 3-day weekend. The Los Angeles State Historic Park, which has a capacity of around 25,000 people, will host Primavera Sound LA. It's a far cry from Primavera's Barcelona headquarters, which have welcomed over 200,000 visitors in a single year. In other words, the festival will resemble its Portuguese counterpart, NOS Primavera Sound, rather than the main event. Those who have already purchased tickets will have their purchases honored, and those seeking a refund can do so by July 29th. Massive Attack, Gorillaz, The Strokes, Tame Impala, and Tyler, the Creator, are among the headliners for Primavera Sound 2022, which has been expanded to 2 weekends. And we're going to finish up north in Sweden. And this one talks about Sweden's capacity limits. How low can they go? Since setting one of Europe's lowest capacity restrictions for indoor standing concerts, the Scandinavian country has made little progress. While markets around Europe rush to reopen, the Swedish live industry is still limping to the finish line due to the government's ever stricter capacity limitations. The Scandinavian country said that it will proceed to the second step of its reopening plan on July 1st, allowing indoor standing performances for up to 50 people. As of tomorrow, seated indoor performances with a capacity of 300 people, standing outdoor concerts with a capacity of 600, and seated outdoor concerts with a capacity of 3,000 will be permitted. On May 27th, the government unveiled a 5-step strategy for eliminating COVID limitations, which went into effect on June 1st. In the first stage of Sweden's plan, the government set an indoor standing show capacity restriction of only 8 persons, one of the lowest in Europe at the time. Capacity limitations for public gatherings, public events, and private gatherings in Sweden are not expected to be lifted until Step 4, which is set to begin in September. Meanwhile, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark, Austria, and the United Kingdom have established a date for reintroducing of huge non-socially separated performances this summer. This goes back to a year ago when I can't speak for other countries, but I can say here in the States, people were looking at Sweden, complaining about our restrictions, saying, well, look at Sweden, they're doing this and they're doing great. And, as we always said, it's like just because it works in one country doesn't mean it works in other countries. And it wasn't working. This is a global pandemic. And while they were saying, oh, they have these, Sweden is more sparsely populated, but also they had a higher death per capita. These are things that were being overlooked in the media because people just wanted to gloss over this, like the headline that Sweden's not having these kind of challenges as many people. It's not a numbers game in that sense. It's a percentage. And it's also, you can't pick up what things are happening in one country. And now, those same people, if you were to say to look at this now, it's like, yeah, they've been in trouble and we don't want to see this. And this is tough and it's terrible to see, but hopefully things will start, getting better. But again, this is that outcry that some, countries have to go back into lockdown or still in lockdown, but it's a safety. And there's the Delta variant that many countries are also dealing with now. So it's unfortunate, but we want things to open back up and we want people to be healthy. And let's move over to some tech news. And this one is YouTube launches hashtag landing pages to all users. The business has been discreetly developing a new tool that would allow users to better discover content using hashtags, either by clicking on a hashtag on YouTube or by simply entering in a hashtag link. Previously, these operations would return a mix of material linked to the hashtag rather than just videos where the hashtag was actually used. That is changing now that YouTube has completely implemented its new hashtag landing pages. When you click on a hashtag on YouTube in the future, you'll be directed to a dedicated landing page with just videos that include the hashtag. According to YouTube, this page is similarly organized to maintain the best videos at the top. However, the ranking system may require some tweaking since it is presently exposing an odd mix of newer and older videos and appears to be highly dominated by Indian created material in several top categories. As a consequence, the result is not the same as, say, a hashtag search on a social network like Facebook or Twitter, where more current material is prioritized. For example, from the article here in TechCrunch, they say, although the hashtag interior design has about 8,400 channels and 29,000 videos, a specialty hashtag like hashtag interior design living room has just 100 channels and videos. The hashtag landing pages are accessible by clicking on a tag on YouTube rather than performing a hashtag search. But if you want to go straight to a certain hashtag page, you can use a certain URL syntax, which is youtube.com/hashtag/put in your term. So, for example, if the term is beauty, That goes youtube.com/hashtag/beauty, and you'll get all those hashtags for that particular hashtag. And we're going to finish up with Deezer. Just have one more here. Deezer goes global with NPR shows and podcasts. And this is from NPR.com. Deezer customers around the world will be able to listen to NPR's most popular podcast. The number of global podcast listeners reached 485 million in 2020 and is predicted to reach 800 million by 2025. We're all in favor of encouraging this increasing trend, said SPR, which is why we're offering podcast fans even more reasons to remain tuned in. Beginning today, worldwide audio streaming provider Deezer and NPR will collaborate to provide podcast lovers with access to all of their original programming. NPR's back library includes programs on topics ranging from business, humor, and education to technology, real crime, and more. Popular programs such as TED Radio Hour, Wait, Don't Tell Me, Planet Money, and Fresh Air will be available to Deezer podcast listeners right away. And Christina De Quadros, the NPR Senior Manager of Business Partnerships, says, "We are excited about making NPR podcasts available to Deezer users around the world. This is our 50th anniversary, and we're eager to share our journalism and cultural programming with as many listeners and on as many platforms as possible." You know, Deezer's always all over the place. It's been more in the news recently. It's, they're in more countries than any other platform. They might not have as nearly many subscribers as Spotify and Apple, but they've been solid. And I like their interface, actually. So I don't know if anybody else is a Deezer fan or uses Deezer, but we're going to switch gears from Deezer and go into
Big green dot, it's the spot.
It is time for the Spotify Spot, the portion of our broadcast where we discuss digital streaming technology and how it relates to music. But first, we do want to check in with our weather update. Just a quick reminder to our viewers and listeners who are living in areas prone to drought, do be careful if you're camping. You do want to make sure that you're able to say, "We didn't start the fire." Over to you, Peter.
Ooh, nice Billy Joel reference. All right, and this is Spotify is testing an audience network that lands in the UK, Australia, and Canada with far-flung targeting. So Spotify launched its Spotify Audience Network at its Stream On event in February, calling it a, quote, first-of-its-kind podcast advertising marketplace where marketers can buy across a network of original, exclusive, and independent podcasts, both on and off Spotify. It is now growing beyond its initial debut in the United States to other nations such as the UK, Australia, and Canada. So far, the network is selling advertisements within podcasts produced by Spotify's in-house studios, The Ringer, Gimlet, Parcast, and Spotify Studios itself, as well as shows produced by third parties. According to the firm, over 60% of its podcast advertisers in the United States are already using the network. This is part of a larger push to increase the revenue generated by podcasts, whether through advertising. You can also check out Amazon Music's recent acquisition of Art19, or via subscriptions, which Spotify and Apple both recently are making their premium podcast moves. And that's it. That's the wrap for the article reads. Would love to get anybody's thoughts. If they have any comments, you want to offer up some thoughts, commentary on any of the topics that we discussed today, feel free to raise your hand to join the stage. Also, we're going to be having a little after show party over in Green Room. So hi everybody that's over in Green Room. I know some people are in the chat there, and also hi everybody and seeing that chat going on in our live streams. So great to see you all, and I love the conversation. So Eli, Angela, was there anything that, now that we went through all those articles, anything that really stuck out?
My final comment is, oh, the cheek. I just want to echo Angela on that.
Yeah, I don't think I've very much recovered from a minister whose job it is to look after the people, asking the people to do a better job at looking after themselves.
You know what? I hate to say it, but that almost sounds like certain American politicians who are charged with looking out for the people, asking the people to do a better job of looking out for themselves. But you know what? In light of that, I do just want to remind all of us that it is our job to look out for ourselves and each other. Let's all be kinder than necessary, even if the guy next to us doesn't use the turn signal. We all do need to take care of ourselves and each other. I do want to remind you, too, that in interest of taking care of yourself, you can join us here each and every weekday, Monday through Friday from 12 to 1 Eastern, where we cover all the news that can help you take the best next steps in your career and stay abreast of all the changes in the music industry. We are the Music News Power Hour from the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. You can always join the club by touching the green house icon at the top of the room and follow your moderators. These are the speakers on stage with the green moderator icon. You can visit our website to follow along with headlines, register for free, or join us in our live stream where you can see what's happening all the time behind the scenes. Hi, everyone joining us on our live stream today. Thanks for joining us today for our broadcast, and make sure that you do join us each and every weekday from 12 to 1 Eastern, noon Eastern, for all the music news that you care to listen to and discuss. This is the Music News Power Hour. On behalf of myself, Eli Window, our UK correspondent Angela Randall, and my co-host Peter Schwing, I want to say thanks for joining the discussion, and I hope you have an awesome day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at 12 Eastern.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Eli, and thank you, Angela, and everybody else for, we appreciate you hanging out with us, spending time with us. As we go into the summer months, the Power Hour might not necessarily be the Power Hour because, people are getting out there, people are back at work, and we want to try to get this in as quickly as possible for you so you don't have to take an hour out of your time. And also, as we know in the industry, once we get into like mid-July and August, news kind of quiets down a little bit, and then before we know it, it's September, and after Labor Day, we're all like, all right, we got a lot of catching up to do before Thanksgiving and Christmas break. So thanks again. And yeah, Music Industry City, and a thank you to everybody that's given some feedback on the daily brief on our podcast. I really appreciate that. We're changing. I'm going to be changing a little bit more starting July 1st, which is tomorrow. So we have some new looks. There's a lot of stuff rolling out on Music Industry City. We have a lot of new articles. You're going to see a lot of new content up there. Our Instagram, if you want to follow our Instagram, tap my face here, scroll down. You can follow Music Industry City on the Instagram account. And we also have on Friday artist shout outs. So in our morning room, the Good Day Music Room, which is 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern, we have our just daily conversations, which are always fantastic. And on Fridays, the artist shout outs, we create the playlist. And again, you can go to musicindustrycity.com, register for free. It's really simple. It's painless. And you can also check out the show notes. There's a show notes graphic. Click on that, and they'll give you all the articles that we cover throughout the week. And on Friday, we do the week in review in here. So we don't cover as many new articles unless there's something really important. We'd like to have more of a roundtable discussion. So if there's something that you want to discuss, take a look at the article, let us know what you want to talk about, and then raise your hand for the stage and say, hey, you remember that article you talked about on Tuesday? Well, I have some more information on there, and kind of make it more of a roundtable discussion. But we're going to go over to Green Room right now for the after show party. I know there's been some people texting away in there, so we're going to join up in there. And again, thank you, everybody. It's been a great one. We'll see you tomorrow.
Cheerio.
Cheerio. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I hope you have a beautiful day today, and we'll see you tomorrow for more headlines. Have a good one.
Hey, what's going on, Green Room? You there?